Hey guys, what's going on? This is going to be a response video to Cinemassacre, the guys behind the Angry Video Game Nerd. Uh, James and Mike did a review for Star Wars, and this review does contain spoilers, so I'm going to be responding to their review, and since it does contain spoilers, if you have not seen Rogue One yet, then I would say don't watch it. So without further ado, we're going to play it right now. I'm already playing it, has spoilers,
We're
yes.
still talking about Rogue One, and this time we want to discuss the spoilers.
Yeah, so
Any spoilers you want. I mean, I don't really want to purposely look for what's the most spoiling thing we could possibly
Sure.
say. It's more like just what are things you want to talk about that
now we can
could
basically
be considered spoilers.
talk about the movie a little bit more freely. So right off the bat, the big thing that I want to talk about is the CGI on the characters of Peter Cushing
Okay.
and of Princess Leia, and how jarring they were. I think they did a very, very good job with the CG. It's probably the best facial animation CG I've ever seen.
I was going to ask you, in comparison to what?
But it didn't look real.
Jarring. Hold on. I should know what this means. Jarring. Incongruous in a striking or shocking way, clashing, causing a physical shock or jolt or vibration. Send a painful or damaging shock through something, especially a part of the body. So I guess his head was jarring. Anyway, I just heard him say it's not good.
Well, CG's never going to look real.
Right.
It's kind of okay.
Facial animation CG I've ever seen.
I was going to ask you, in comparison to what?
But it didn't look real.
Well,
Well,
CG's
I mean,
never going to look real.
Right.
It's kind
Right, exactly. I mean, what do you mean it didn't look real? First off,
graphics.
Yeah.
the other problem with that kind of argument, because I've heard this multiple times about CG, is look, okay, well, so what if it didn't look real? It's still a movie. It's fictional, okay? People like to say, well, what about practical effects and props? Okay, well, maybe they look more realistic, but at the end of the day, it's still fake. It's still fake. And honestly, I'm not, completely in agreement here with Mike about the CG for Peter Cushing. I think it was pretty dead on good. Yeah, sure, it wasn't 100% perfect. It was not 100% perfect, like he said. But I mean, for what they were working with, for what they did, I thought it looked really good. I mean, I think all the hours and all the time put into it. Yeah, I think they did a good job. They put a lot of effort into it, and I think it really shows.
PlayStation 2 graphics, and it just keeps getting better, but it's never going to look like real life.
These are probably
Right, yeah, okay, that's true. So, what James was basically trying to say right there is, in comparison to the rest of the movie, some of the CG is oh, it's PlayStation 1 graphics, and, Peter Cushing's face is, PlayStation 7 or 6 graphics. Really top-notch quality, and, that's what it is. But, even, with a video game, you still know it's not real, because it's a video game. It's virtual, yeah, it's virtual. I mean, movies aren't real either, unless you're watching a documentary. A movie's never going to be 100% real. So I don't understand this obsession that some people have with trying to make everything look realistic. Can't we just enjoy the movie, for what it is? Why are we so concerned about whether it's realistic or not? People had the same thing about Call of Duty. When Call of Duty Modern Warfare first came out, it's oh, it looks so realistic. And then The Onion actually made a video about that, a parody video, showing real life work that soldiers would have to do when they're not fighting. And the joke was that's more realistic than the graphics and stuff.
PlayStation 6 graphics, and they look fucking. I know, that's not out, but they look really. It looks really, really, really good.
Yeah,
but it doesn't look real.
If you put it this way, let's say you started with Rogue One for whatever reason. This was your first Star Wars movie.
I'm just gonna say I liked it overall. Sure, there's some minor little details if you really paid attention. Oh yeah, sure. But overall though, like I said, I think it was good. I think they did a great job with with the CG for Peter Cushing's face.
To Governor Tarkin, and then you'd start wondering why is this one character CG? Say you never knew who Peter Cushing is. Yeah. But here's the thing:
there's so much CG in the movie that you might not give a shit. Anyway?
Yeah, but you'd be here's a human character. Why is this guy CG?
Right.
But there is a reason, because it's fucking Peter Cushing. That blew my mind, actually, because I didn't know that they were going to go that far and like try to actually bring. So I actually really loved that they did that. That even though we could, you could tell it's CG, we know they didn't really bring Peter Cushing back from the dead. But just seeing him in a movie, I was like, holy fucking shit! I'm watching Peter Cushing in a movie. And
Right. I can totally sympathize with that. I kind of felt the same way. Like, when he turned around and I see his face, I was in amazement. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, oh my God, it looks really close. I'm really impressed and I'm amazed with it. I'm amazed that we have this capability. Screw that it's not 100% perfect. It's really freaking good. And I think the animators, they put a lot of time and effort into it. I know he said that for the third time, but I think it really freaking shows. I wouldn't be saying that so much if I didn't believe that. When I saw the movie, I'm just like, oh my God, that looks like him. It really does. It really looks like the guy.
Because they start with the back of the head. And
right.
Here's that reflection on the glass, and I'm like, okay, they're not going to do it. He's not going to turn around. And then he does. He turns around, and it blew my mind.
What I have to say though is
the best part. I think when they were introducing Governor Tarkin was when he turned to the side of his face. That was very detailed. It looked very accurate from the side, and then it turns around and it's mostly accurate. There's a little minor issues here and there, but overall, like I said, really good.
You and I are both fans of the Hammer,
Hammer horror films,
horror films, and I'm a huge fan of him in the Sherlock Holmes movies and everything. Peter Cushing's one of my favorite actors of all time.
Yeah,
and to take a great actor like Peter Cushing and CG him and take away his performance of an actor, because this is the most robotic performance of anything I've ever seen. He just delivers lines and then they cut away because it's all CG.
Oh, come on.
And I know I understand that it's a tribute to him.
Don't give me that
great,
nonsense.
And I'm so glad that they're giving a tribute to such
a great
actor.
No, it's not. I've seen more robotic acting from human beings.
Because he was so good. He was such an awesome actor. And I felt like the performance was so stilted by it being CGI.
Oh, come on. Bullshit.
I thought, more than the CG, I thought,
bullshit.
The voice wasn't great.
It didn't sound like him, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, and normally I would never criticize that, because, how hard is it to, make you believe you're watching a dead actor on the screen again?
Right. Let's take that into perspective. If you know the guy's dead, he's dead. So you got to judge on other things, how is the voice actor doing? How are there's other things you got to take into account, basically.
The voice, I think, just because it's a multi-million-dollar movie, I just think they could have probably gotten somebody who could sound exactly like him.
Okay,
there's got to be somebody out there who could have done it.
They went to so much trouble to make his face look as good as they did. Not perfect, but pretty darn good.
Yeah.
That you think that they would have got the voice better. That seems like the easier job.
Now,
we don't know what went through that. You guys don't know that. I don't know that. Maybe they tried considering that. They went through all these different actors, made them all do voice rehearsals, auditioning for the role, and it just so happens that this one guy, he played a good part of it, and plus the guy who did it, he was there on set, and they probably picked him because he had a similar facial structure to Peter Cushing as well. That was possibly the other reason why. And yeah, sure, they could have done maybe a better voice actor that was slightly more accurate. Sure, the voice could have been better. I'll give him that. Yes, I will give him that. The voice could have been better.
That initial moment when he turns around, I actually was kind of, my belief was totally suspended. My disbelief was suspended, because I just saw him and I was just like, wow.
I can totally sympathize with that.
It kind of confused me for a second.
I can totally sympathize with that. It's really good. If you guys, for those of you watching who've seen Rogue One, they did a great job.
Quite a marvel, because I think it's the first time, at least in any major movie like blockbuster like this, that they've done something like that.
Yeah.
And there's been talk of them doing that kind of thing for a long time. You know, in Star Trek with Brent Spiner, he stopped playing the role and had the character killed off because androids aren't supposed to age. So he would
could come up with a reason.
He would always say, like, oh, maybe someday they'll do a computer graphics thing. So if they ever do a next gen movie, maybe he'll be just like, you know, Governor Tarkin in this movie. So that whole thing was really interesting. But I think it was a little jarring with a stilted performance.
I disagree.
But it was cool to see.
I disagree.
And it was a cool tribute.
I think it looked pretty good. I didn't think it was that jarring. And
but
I thought the performance was good.
It's more perfect than anything I've seen so far. Like, you know, there was a lot of Terminator Salvation. They had the young Arnold.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That was like the first time I've seen something like that done. And then Tron Legacy, they had Jeff Bridges.
Oh yeah, for Terminator Salvation, I think this was better than the Terminator Salvation thing. Now I don't know the details behind I don't know the details of what went into that to make Arnold Schwarzenegger look younger for Terminator Salvation, but I'll have to watch it again. But I think I liked, from what I remember, it was all right, but I think it could have been better. I think this one with Peter Cushing was done very well, very well, and yeah.
The old Jeff Bridges acting with the young Jeff Bridges. So I think this is kind of like a new experiment that they're doing in film. I'd like to see where this could go and how many dead actors could we see again. Like, could we see Bela Lugosi in a movie? Could you imagine?
That'd be awesome. They should put him into the new. They should put all the old Boris Karloff into the new.
No,
let's not get
that'd be crazy.
We're gonna get
that would be crazy.
I know there probably is another aspect to that.
Okay, so one thing I want to bring up really quickly. This is a side comment. Something I was wondering after seeing Rogue One was, like, how well will this age with Peter Cushing's CG double take? Because it just made me wonder, like, sometimes some things age well. They just age well. But, like, is this going to be one of those things that ages well, or like 5 to 10 years later, like after many more advancements in technology, does the CG not look as good? That could be the case, because, I mean, like, give it a couple more years and it might even be better than what it is right now, and we could have, and the Peter Cushing CG might not look as good. It might look dated or whatever, which makes sense because it would be a few years from now, you know. But I'm gonna say, you know, regardless of what happens 5 to 10 years or later, more down the line, speaking in the present as of right now, the CG is really good, and I know I can tell they put a lot of work and effort into it, many hours of work and effort into it.
None of these actors can give their consent to it, so it's that is kind of a weird thing when you think about, like, there's no way.
Like, who did they ask to be able to put Peter Cushing in there?
Exactly.
Like, ask his family or something.
I'm sure they probably got somebody to sign off, like some family member. I would imagine. So I don't know.
Yeah. So let's go to the other big spoiler of the movie. Since this is the spoiler video, let's talk about Darth Vader.
Well, he's in the trailer, so we know he's in it. But
about him being in the movie, what did you think of Vader in the movie?
I thought Vader was good.
They gave him the red tinted lenses, like in New Hope. I think they might have went a little too far. I think it was a little too red.
Maybe, yeah.
I had to compare it, but anyway, no, I thought Darth Vader was great. He was a little bit more wise ass than usual, I think. Like when he says, like, what was it? Like, don't choke on your aspiration.
Yeah.
He was like, okay, like, I don't think he would have said anything that, like one-liner type thing.
He wasn't in the movie very much. He might have like 7 minutes runtime in the whole movie.
Maybe.
Something like that. And the big scene and the part that, you know, everybody coming out of this movie is talking about is his big scene at the end where he, you know, people are saying it's like he goes full on horror, like Jason Voorhees type of thing.
That was awesome.
It was cool to see. I think that they could have easily went further with it, and I feel like the reason that they probably didn't do more with it is probably because at some point later they could do an entire Darth Vader movie, which I'm sure is in the woodworks.
So it would be like Darth Vader.
Who knows what the plot would be, but
or like when it would be, like
because.
Oh crap! Here comes an ad.
People don't just wake up from a coma and walk out of the hospital.
See you soon.
Because if you think about it, they just have to have the costume and the mask. They could have Darth Vader movies forever because you don't have to rely on.
I mean, as long as they have James Earl Jones, but I'm sure that even after,
if they're going to replace Peter Cushing, they'll probably have qualms replacing James Earl Jones.
Yeah, they just have to.
Well, I actually think because I'm not too sure about this right now, but I think if you look at the voice acting for other appearances of Darth Vader, I think he's been done by different voice actors. Although James Earl Jones is still my favorite in terms of the voice acting for Darth Vader, so I hope he's able to stay. I hope he can live longer, and we could possibly get some kind of Darth Vader movie. I think that'd be pretty cool.
A different, a James Earl Jones type voice for it. The ending with Vader was amazing. That was like one of the moments that really got me excited.
That was really crazy. What happened at the end?
You realize where they are, and it's the beginning of New Hope.
Yeah,
that was cool.
That whole scene I did like a lot. The third act of the movie, when it starts to pick up pace a little bit more, was the entertaining part of the movie. To me, I really liked when all the rebel ships came in. It reminded me of a scene right out of Return of the Jedi or something.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoyed that section of the movie.
One thing I'm noticing is from some of these reviewers, and not just this guy but other guys as well, is they say that they found the first act or the second act or both of those acts kind of boring and not exciting or not interesting at all. But then the third act is holy shit, this is now we're getting down to business. And I see where they're coming from, but I didn't fully feel that way. I found the first act and the second act not boring. I was in tuned with the film. I think all the way through the freaking movie. I was tuned in throughout the entire film. I did not get bored. I didn't really get bored. Other people were saying they got bored. I wasn't really that bored. I was very in tune with what was going on. I was very curious to see what was happening and the different details and the storyline and the different plot points and stuff. The story, in the story.
Oh, that remind me of. I really loved how they show what it looks like when a ship's in fast speed and then they stop. I don't think we've ever really seen that, have we?
Oh yeah.
I think they did that in Force Awakens a little bit.
Oh, okay.
I think. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, we saw it a lot in this one. Is that just all the ships are just appearing? I thought that was cool to see.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, they've definitely done that before.
Yeah. Oh, and at one point they actually smashed into a Star Destroyer that was coming out of light speed.
Cool,
And I was like, wow, I've always wondered if that could happen when
and
all
it did.
These ships
Yeah.
are going at fast speeds. So,
and also, what was funny about that was that other ship,
cameo
that transport ship, was
such
also about to go into hyperspace. Or actually, no, it was just in hyperspace, and then for just a second or two, and then all of a sudden that other Star Destroyer came out of nowhere, and boom.
There's moments like that where they're throwing in more minor characters that unless you're a hardcore fan, you probably won't recognize that character unless you watch the original movies a bunch. So I'd be curious actually to go through this movie and see how many Easter eggs there are. I'm sure there's a ton of characters in the background, and I thought I saw the what is the?
There probably are some characters actually that I don't remember seeing as well. They're probably there as well, but I just don't remember. The ones they're going to talk about right now are the ones in the cantina in episode 4.
Wampa?
The Wampa. Yeah. I think I saw some Wampas in there.
Oh, really?
I don't remember seeing Wampas at all.
I'm pretty sure, at least.
That's something I have to look out for.
Cool stuff. I thought that the blind character. What did you think of him? He was the one character, other than I guess Vader, that had the Force.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering about that too, because I'm actually wondering about that guy. Did he have the Force or did he not have the Force? And he just believed in it because he knew about it somehow. Was he a Jedi? Was he not a Jedi? What was that guy? What was his situation? What was his standing? I think it would have been cool to see more about him, like find out more about him personally, see more of his character, because like he was interesting to me as well.
I mean, like again, like there were none of the characters really like connected with me that much. It wasn't really just like they weren't memorable. Like I didn't come out of the movie being like, oh yeah, that character was great and that character, like it was kind of
Really? I didn't feel that way at all. I actually liked the characters, like the blind guy, like I said how much like sympathy and enthusiasm I had for him, and the guy with the giant powerful like gun that's like a Gatling laser blaster gun, like, and like the trade pilot, not the trade pilot, the cargo ship pilot that defected to the rebellion. And like, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the characters, including the robot. I love the robot, like how sarcastic he is.
For Force Awakens, I liked Rey and Finn and Poe and everybody, and this one.
I did too.
And
Yes.
that's so funny that you say that. You're like Rey and Finn and Poe.
Yeah.
You actually remember their names a year later. Yeah. We just saw this movie. I mean,
I have seen it a few times though. Too.
Well, okay. See, hold on. I don't like that argument. I don't like that observation. Oh, like I've seen The Force Awakens at least one time, or like what James just said.
But
I've seen it multiple times. Therefore, because I remember their names somehow, that means that they're more memorable characters. It's like, no, not exactly. Like some people are not good with names. I'm not good with names. Like I can recognize people by their faces very well, or the acts they do. Like oh yeah, like that one guy, he did that and this, and like what was his name? Because like for some people, that's why I don't like that argument. Like, oh, if I can't remember their name, they're not a memorable character. Because like for me personally, I'm not that good with names. I'm just not. Like if I remember someone, I'll probably remember them because we were talking about something, or some other reason besides their name. Like I'll be honest, there's been many times where like I just forget their names. I'm just not good with names. So like when they're saying like, oh, well, you don't even remember their names. Well, it's like that doesn't mean they're not memorable characters. To me, they're still memorable. Like I just said, I remember them by their other actions, by their dialogue. Like I don't remember the exact wording of the droid's name unless I looked it up right now. It's like K something. Like I don't remember, but I remember the droid being humorous. I remember the character of the droid being humorous, and same with the other characters. Just because I don't remember their names doesn't mean I didn't enjoy them as characters. I don't think that's a very fair thing for Mike to say that.
Even if I've seen it once, I'm pretty sure I'd remember most of their names.
Okay, well maybe James, that's good for you, but that's not good for me. Like if in order for me to remember their names after seeing a movie one time, I would have to go online on like IMDb or Wikipedia or somewhere else and look up their names again. Because unless it's a really obvious name like Scott or Jordan or Max or Chris or something like that. But in Star Wars, the names are not usually that like common in English, in terms of English names. Like they're different. They're not, they're not typical English names. Like even Governor Tarkin is not a very common English name. Like Luke is, sure. Like Han is, I don't know if even Han's even that much of an English origin, much an origin name. But I mean, it's also a short name. It's easier to remember. Like some of these names from this movie, they're harder to remember. I remember hearing their names, but they were like longer, or they were harder to pronounce for me personally, or like they just had a different background and origin, so I was just not used to hearing their name either. These are new characters. I'm not used to these characters. Like Rey, Finn, and Poe. Like, yeah, that's easier to remember because the names are easier to remember. To me personally, that's what I believe. Maybe some people had a harder time remembering their names, but yeah. So anyway,
I don't remember anybody's name in this movie unless they were in a previous Star Wars movie.
Oh, do you remember Darth Vader's name?
I said unless they were in a previous Star Wars movie.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of the characters didn't click with me very much.
I mean, that sucks for you, man. I mean, I think the characters clicked for me. They did.
So what other big moments were in this movie that we can talk about? That's where we got into something.
It was just, the thing is, it was just a movie. Like it wasn't like the big event
No, really?
Star Wars movie. It was just kind of like these short snippets of, wow, look, it's Darth Vader again, and Governor Tarkin.
Wait, what
and
did he say? I was speaking over
big
him.
And Star Wars movie. It was just kind of.
I mean, yeah, it is just a movie, though. That's the thing. Well, I mean, so are the other Star Wars movies, but
It was just, the thing is, it was just a movie. Like
Right.
It wasn't like the big event Star Wars movie. It was just kind of like.
well, it never. Hold on, see, that's the thing, though. It wasn't meant to be. It never was. Like Star Wars Rogue One is a side movie. It's a background story movie. It's an anthology movie. It's not meant to be part of the 7 episodes that are currently out there. It's like it's a side story. It's the story about how they got plans to a super weapon, a doomsday weapon, and that's relatable to the main films because they mention in the main films about those plans. They mention how they were stolen. The Empire's trying to find them, and like you don't actually see them stealing the plans in the main movies. All you do is you just hear about them like stealing. Oh, they stole the blueprints. We got the blueprints, but you don't actually see how they did it, and those kind of things interest me. It interests me to find out things like that. Like this relates to history too. Like whenever I read an event in history, and like I'm like, you know what, that's an interesting event. Like I wouldn't mind seeing that as a movie. And then next thing you know, they make a movie about it. Like Dunkirk, for instance. I can't remember a time where there's been a movie, a narrative film. I don't mean a documentary. I mean a narrative film like Christopher Nolan's making right now. That has told about the story of Dunkirk. Not that I can think of anyway. Maybe there has been, but not for a while. At least I haven't heard of anything else like that. This is the first time I've heard about a movie called Dunkirk that's focused on the Battle of Dunkirk, the evacuation of Dunkirk, back over onto the strait, back to England, to the UK. Not the strait, the channel, the English Channel. I mean, it's the same thing with Hacksaw Ridge. That's about Okinawa. I don't really remember seeing any movies about Okinawa in particular. There were other movies like the Iwo Jima movie, The Flags of Our Fathers. Those are about Iwo Jima. There was Wind Talkers, which wasn't about either one of those islands. It was a different island. Saipan, that was the one. It was about Saipan. So, I mean, you already know what's going to happen at the end of those World War II movies. You know what happens if you read the historical documents, the events about it, or you watch a documentary about it. Well, it's the same thing here. You already know what happens. Because Episode 4 is next. You know what happens to the Death Star plans after this movie. This is like when you go and watch this movie. If you're a fan of Star Wars, you should already know what's going to happen. If you know nothing about Star Wars, well then watch Episode 4, A New Hope, because that's what happens to the Death Star plans. You find out what's going to happen. Okay. So I don't understand why they don't it's not a main Star Wars film. Well, no, it's not a main Star Wars film in the sense that the main Star Wars films are episodes 1 through 7. It's not one of those films. It's a side film. Just like how the TV shows are like side projects, but they all take place in the same universe. And you know what's wrong with that? It's a fucking huge galaxy filled with millions of planets, probably different worlds, different species, different characters. We don't have to just focus on the freaking Jedi the whole damn time. We can focus on other different things, like the Boba Fett, for instance, Han Solo. Now, I don't know about the Han Solo movie, but like, there's other characters you can focus on. That's my point. That's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't have to be just the Skywalker family. It doesn't have to be just them. The galaxy's not centered around them. It's not just about them, okay? So, that's the point I'm trying to make here with that.
These short snippets of, wow, look, it's Darth Vader again, and Governor Tarkin, and then Princess Leia, not to mention. I mean, I thought they did a really good job on her. I mean, she was in it so brief that they probably
just one
really
shot,
did. Yeah. So I think that was great.
Yeah, I thought it was great too. However, I'm not sure if it's better than Peter Cushing's CG. I'm still a little bit uncertain about that. I've only seen Rogue One once, so maybe if I see it again and I pay more attention to the CG with Princess Leia and Tarkin and compare and contrast to see which one's better, maybe I'll have more of a definitive answer. But yeah, I can see why they say Leia, because there was less time to focus on Leia, and she was just standing there. So you didn't have to worry about like the framing and stuff like that because she's just standing there still. She's not moving. She's not moving around frame by frame like in other animation. Like she's still. She's staying. So there's less work there, basically.
Anyway, it was like all these short snippets of like, wow, look at this, and then just this average like blockbusters.
How quickly
movie,
is that going to wear off? By the way, which is a little bit frightening to me. Like,
to see Star Wars burn out.
Yeah, like I just saw this movie and it wasn't like super like thrilling to me. So now we're gonna get.
I mean, I'm sorry you feel that way, Mike, because it was super thrilling to me. I found it exciting. I was totally into it. I was totally I was totally into it. I liked the movie overall. I really liked it. I mean, I'm disappointed you don't find it thrilling and that you're already seeing doom and gloom on the horizon. And I do agree with you though, Mike, that I think eventually I do share the same concern that if they make too many Star Wars movies, they're just going to burn out the franchise. I do agree. I do have that same concern. However, I have not gotten to that point yet where it seems like you're already starting to go down that road of the burnout road. I'm not down that road yet. I liked Rogue One. It was good to me. I don't understand why you found such a huge problem with it. I thought it was fine. I mean, overall, sure, there was little issues here and there. I'm not going to say it's a perfect movie because it's not. But it was a fun, entertaining movie. I found it exciting. I found it thrilling. I found it intense. I even found it intense when they were trying to get the Death Star plans because I thought that was intense because of just the action and the tenseness of the pressure of the characters to get it there and just like how everything could just fall apart. It's like, even though I knew they were still going to succeed in the end, just seeing it play out was tense. It just was, yeah. For me, that's me personally. Maybe for you watching, who's ever watching right here, maybe you didn't find it tense. Oh well. Maybe you share the same opinion as Mike. I found it thrilling, intense.
By the time we get to episode,
12
or whatever the fuck, I'm already burnt out on it. Like you said, what Max Rebo? They're gonna have the fucking Max Rebo. It's like, who gives a shit?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a joke. I mean, some people mention that.
Hey,
but I think
you never know.
It very well could happen. Yeah.
How about a Jar Jar Binks movie?
Just get to the Yoda movie. That's all.
Okay, Yoda. Yes, greenlight that, Hollywood. Greenlight a Yoda movie.
Cool to have a Yoda movie.
Yeah. Well, you mean even a serious Yoda movie, have one that's all about Yoda.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I think it would be.
My idea.
I'm okay with that.
Him on Dagobah.
Yeah, no, but a serious tone movie like that.
Yeah.
How did Yoda become a Jedi? That kind of deal. What might be interesting to see. But doesn't that also sort of take the mystery away from characters sometimes when you explain everything? I remember the first time.
Well, I don't find a problem with that though. Maybe you're into the whole mystery thing. I like to not know certain things about my characters. I'm okay with not knowing certain things about my characters. Okay, well, then don't go see the movie then. If they make a movie about Darth Vader and it explains more of the backstory behind Vader, there's more things there's more things we don't know about Vader, and this movie shows those things. Like with Rogue One, for instance. And if you're like, oh, I don't want to know anything else about Vader, I just like Vader the way he is now, well, then don't go see the movie then. Don't read up on it. Don't read up on the spoilers and stuff like that. Just leave it alone, basically. I mean, it's the same thing with Yoda. It's like if they make a Yoda movie about how he first became a Jedi because it said 800 years and stuff like that. He was a Jedi. So it's like, oh, what was Yoda's story like 800 years ago? That's a pretty big thing, undertaking. But it's like, oh, take some of the mystery away. Well, then don't see the movie then. Or maybe they won't make a movie about it. But I don't know. It doesn't really bother me so much. Oh, the mystery's gone now. It's like, so I didn't have a problem with that. That's just the way. I mean, maybe Mike is more into the whole mystery thing. He likes that. He prefers his characters to have more of a mystery. But then I find it a little bit odd, Mike, because you were saying how it was harder for you to connect with the characters, but those characters had a mystery to them. Like the blind Asian guy, we didn't know much about him. Same with his friend, and same with the other ones, the Imperial pilot and the two main characters. We didn't know too much about them. The most we got info on was the main character, the girl. I don't even remember her name right now. So yeah, I don't remember her name, but I remember her by other things. But anyway, whatever. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I don't mind not having the mystery there. I don't mind knowing like certain details. But if you do, then I would just say try to avoid them as much as you can. Yeah.
Seeing New Hope or seeing Star Wars when I was a kid and being like, wow, it was just like a spectacle, all this stuff coming at you. And now we're at the point where it's like, oh yeah, this is how they got the plans and that's what happened there. And oh yeah, that connects the dots on that part.
Oh, bullshit, Mike. Come on. Fuck off with that shit, Mike. Yeah, bull fucking shit. Come on, dude. Oh yeah, this is how they got the Death Star plans. No. That's not how I was like. I was like, this is how they're getting them. Okay, this is where they go. This is where they went. Okay, nice. I mean, if you don't give a shit about it, Mike, then why'd you go see the movie? If you're just gonna be pessimistic about the whole damn thing, then maybe that's part of the reason why you're not liking the movies, because you went in there with a pessimistic mindset. You went there with like a certain pessimistic expectations, like, oh yeah, I was gonna see this. We're not going to see anything new. We're just going to see a story that was already told by word of mouth, and now we just get to visually see it. Well, you already knew what the story was going to be about. You already knew what was going to happen. So, why'd you go see the movie then? I don't understand this complaint. I really don't. It's dumb. And plus, what was not exciting about it? The space battle, dude. Come on. What was not exciting about it? You're talking about the spectacle of A New Hope. I mean, sure, New Hope was cool and all. The fighting at the end of the Death Star, that was cool. I think this was even better than A New Hope. Return of the Jedi, that was even better than A New Hope. Now, granted, A New Hope, when it was first made, they didn't have the budget to have a more expansive battle over the Death Star, sure. But come on, how could you not be excited about it? If you're, I don't know what to tell you, Mike. I don't know what to tell you.
That's why I think the new episodes are a little bit more exciting to me, because at least new things are happening. Mm-hmm.
Okay, see, yeah, again, the same problem. New things are happening. Yeah, but oh my god, it's like going to see a World War II movie, and it's like, oh yeah, it's another D-Day movie. Well, you already knew it was going to be a fucking D-Day movie. You already know what's going to happen. You read up on history of the D-Day landings. And it's like, why are you just going to bore yourself to death? Why are you going to waste your time going to see a D-Day movie if you know you're just going to be pessimistic about it? It's like, or you're going to see some other type of historical event movie, like a Vietnam War movie or something like that. It's like, you already know what's going to happen because you read the battle and stuff like that, unless they just change the battle somehow and just retcon it or something. But yeah, it's like, oh, there's nothing new. Well, okay, I mean, I don't get what the big fucking deal is, really, dude. Plus, come on. Are you honestly gonna tell me you didn't know going in? And I don't. Mike is confusing me with this nonsense right here. He should have known. I'm pretty sure he did know that he was what he was getting himself into, and now he's complaining about it. It's like, even though he knew, it's like, okay, then why'd you go? Like I said, for the third time already, why'd you go see the movie? I don't get this. Ridiculous.
Episode 8, at least they're not going to just be trying to connect dots. That's kind of
I hope not.
Out on me.
Okay.
You know? Because it's like, we know where it's going.
Yeah.
So episode 8, I think, has more possibilities, and they'll be able to be a little bit more free with it and come up with...
Stupid argument. Stupid argument. It's like, you know what, I take that back. It's not stupid. It's just an odd argument to me for someone to make. It's like... What's another example? It's like watching the Pearl Harbor movie and being like, oh yeah, we've seen Pearl Harbor movies already before. Yeah, we already know they bombed all the battleships. We know the USS Arizona is going to be sunk. We know all this already. There's nothing new here. It's like, well, yeah, there isn't. It's a historical event. It's already happened. The difference is that I'm talking about historical events that have happened in our real life, in our reality. The only difference is that this is a fictional universe we're talking about with Rogue One, but it's the same idea. It's like why are you complaining about it? You already know there's not gonna be anything new. You already know it's just telling you events that already happened. It's just I don't understand why you're complaining about that. I don't get it. Yeah.
New things.
I am most hopeful for that one. Yeah,
I am too. I'm very hopeful because I absolutely love Mark Hamill. I cannot wait to see more of him because we only
he could really, really save it.
He really could.
Yeah.
And
not that I think it's gonna be shit, but I mean, like, I think he would make it really awesome.
Well, after seeing.
So, I actually wanted to talk about episode 8. I'm in agreement with these guys. I'm in agreement with Mike and James about episode 8. I'm hoping it's good. And like, yeah, okay, I agree with Mike. Like, because it's episode 8, they're free to have more creative decisions made. True, they are. Because it's part of a new storyline. It's not set in a time in Star Wars where it's already gone over. The events have already passed. This is going to be brand new events happening. So yeah, they're gonna have more creative freedom. I am concerned though because with Episode 7, it was similar to A New Hope in a number of ways. Hey, so sorry for that cut right there, that interruption, little issue there. But basically, what I'm trying to say is, I hope that Chapter 8, Episode 8, whatever, doesn't follow a similar pattern that Episode 7 had. I mean, if it did, it could still work, but I would prefer if they don't do that. Anyway, let's continue watching.
Like, I think he would make it really awesome.
Well, after seeing this movie, I'm a little bit burnt out now on the Star Wars stuff, and it's like, all right, I've seen everything there is Star Wars, but he's like the one thing I still can be excited for because he's just so good. I
definitely would like to see more. I'm looking forward to Mark Hamill. I'm looking forward to see what he can do in Episode 8 myself. So I agree with Mike there. Yeah, I'm curious to see how that's gonna play out. It'd be funny if he's talking and in the tone of his voice, I could hear the Joker because he plays the animated Joker. I wonder how that would sound on screen.
So I'm very hyped for Episode 8, and I hope something cool happens with Luke.
Yeah, me too.
Me three. Alright, yeah, so overall, as you could tell from watching my response video, there were some things I did agree with them on, there were some things I did not agree with them on. Tell me what you agreed with or did not agree with. You agree more with like Mike on certain things, or James on certain things, or me on certain things. Yeah, you get the idea. Thank you for watching or listening to this response video.